Okay, tennis fanatics, this one's for you. All right, so I think many of you know that I used to work with the WTA Tour and traveled with the tennis for about 9 years. And so I really got an insight as to, all the ins and outs that happen on and off the court. So today what I want to talk to you about is the environment. So this is my sports health wheel. And when I work with an athlete, all of these components are very important, and I address each one and try to find, the one that is going to pull the biggest lever that is going to really help this person either heal from an injury or propel in their performance. So the one I want to talk about is the environment. And so right now, if you follow the WTA, they're in Indian Wells, and they'll be then going to Miami, and those are hard courts. So hard courts are just what they say. They are hard. They're hard on the body. Oftentimes we see blisters that happen from the pavement getting very hot, a lot of shearing forces, running back and forth, and low back also gets very stiff. And so, when you're on hard court, the athletes really need to work on diversifying their training. So you don't want to do more running. You want to do something more like swimming or biking to have some variety so you're not continuing to pound on the body. And you should be inspecting your feet and your shoes to make sure that things are not wearing down, causing more risk to your feet. Knees can really become an issue. The low back can get sore. So making sure you're really dialing in on your core stability. And then of course, recovery, making sure that you're doing, this is a great time to do your cold plunge, get your massage, make sure you're doing plenty of stretching. So what's interesting though is as we move from hard court, so after Miami, then they're going to go to Charleston. Charleston is clay. Clay is a very different animal. With clay, the rallies are much longer, the ball bounces higher, and the ball also gets heavier. And then they're sliding. The ability to slide becomes much greater. So there are some really important things as you're transitioning off of hard court and onto clay to start to prepare the body to be able to slide, making sure you have good mobility in your inner thighs and in your feet to make sure when you're sliding, you don't risk of pulling your muscle because you don't have enough muscle length there. Or you sprain an ankle because you don't have either the stability or the mobility in the ankle. The other things is because the balls get heavy and the rallies are longer, the endurance of the upper body can get really fatigued. So making sure you're training and getting enough scapular stability and working on high reps and low weight is what you want to do to, again, work on that endurance. The other thing that's really important about clay is the right kind of shoe. So you want to get a clay court shoe. If you're really serious about tennis, equipment is very important. And the clay court shoe is very specific in that it has a herringbone pattern. So it's a smaller surface where the clay doesn't get stuck in there, and it allows it much easier to navigate the court and to move around. So these are really critical, and many people don't think about this, and they just go from one surface to the next, and that's how you can get an injury. So if you're transitioning at all, hard court to clay or clay to hard court, just think about that surface and modifying your training while you're on the surface, and in particular, preparing to get on it. All right, see you later.